Hi, welcome to another quick video to help with the QTS numeracy skills test. This one's not QTS specific, but it's a useful little technique that you're going to need at times in the mental arithmetic section. Okay, so it's well, it's a division. Okay, some people call it long division, some people call it short division, some people call it the bus stop method, the bus shelter method. Doesn't really matter what you call it. What we're trying to do is things like things like 135 divided by 3, for instance. Okay, I'm not going to actually start with that question, but it's the kind of thing that can be very quick if you do a quick bus stop with these. I had one person recently say that they actually counted up their 3 times tables all the way up to 135, and that's partly why I've done this video, because I don't want anybody doing that. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with 24 divided by 2. Okay, now most of you probably can halve numbers fairly quickly in your head, and well, look, the answer's 12. You guys all know that the answer's 12, but I just want to show you with an easy question that how the bus stop method works. So the way to write it out is you put the divisor on the outside and the number that you're dividing on the inside of the bus stop. And basically what this method does is it breaks it down so you look at each digit individually. So when you look at the 24, you treat it as a 2 and a 4 separately. So you do 2's into 2, go 1, okay, and you put the 1 above the number that you've used, okay, and then you do 2's into 4, go 2, okay. So pretty easy one, okay, and I'm not going to dwell on that too long. We need to ramp it up a little bit. Let's just do, say, 36 divided by 2, okay. So a lot of you, again, will probably know that the answer is 18, but let's show how it can be done with bus stop. And the thing with the bus stop is just use it when you feel that you need to. If you don't need it for things like 36 divided by 2, then don't use it. Okay, but this is a useful method to learn. Okay, so this time when we look at 2's into 3, okay, we've got to kind of, it doesn't go in exactly. Okay, so we do 2's into 3, well, it goes in once, okay, but you get a remainder of 1. Now there are various other methods of maybe writing the 1 down here and then doing a subtraction. No, sorry, putting the 2 here and then doing a subtraction and getting the 1 carry over and then dropping this 6 down. It's too long. It's too long for QTS. We need to be doing this in the mental arithmetic. It needs to be short and quick. So this is really a short division method. Okay, so what we do is we go 2's into 3, go 1, you put the 1 at the top, and the carryover, or the remainder of 1, it goes in there next to the 6 and it creates a 16. So the next step is to look at that. You don't look at it as a 6, you don't look at it as a 1, you put the 2 digits together and we look at it as a 16, and 2's into 16 go 8. So you can see that the only actual calculations we're ever really doing are within our times tables. They're small enough to be in our times tables. Okay, let's do 135 divided by 3. I've just jotted down a list of questions on my bit of paper here. A nice variety that will show you all the different things that might come up when you're doing this. Okay, so the reason I've chosen this one is to show that sometimes when you look at the first digit, the number doesn't go in. So this time we're looking at 3 and we're doing 3's into 1. Well, 3 doesn't go into 1. Okay, so what do? Well, you can put a 0 at the top. We can really say that 3 goes into 1 0 times with a remainder of 1. Okay, now a lot of people don't do that, okay, and it's not wrong. So I'm just going to go back a second and do that again, and I'll show you the other way that people do it. You could look at it and go, right, 3's into 1 don't go, so then what you do is you look at both of these digits together. You look at the 1 and the 3 together and you treat it as a 13. So you do 3's into 13, go 4, remainder 1. And notice the position of the 4. I didn't put it here, okay, that would be wrong to put it there. You need to put it above the last digit of the number that you're using, okay, and then you do 3's into 15, go 5. Okay, so the answer's 45. Now I'm just going to go back again. I'm just going to do that where I put the 0 in. I would just want you to see that you get the same answer. Okay, so an alternative way of doing it is 3's into 1, go 0, and you actually put a carryover of 1 here. So you're still getting the same result because you're still looking at now at the number 13. So 3's into 13 go 4, and remainder 1, and 3's into 15, go 5. Now all you've got to do is when you look at your result on the top of the bus stop, you just kind of ignore the 0 at the front. You know, 0, 4, 5, that's the answer to that is 45. Okay, now I'm going to recommend that you put the zeros in, and you will see why I'm recommending that as we progress through this video and I do some slightly harder questions. Okay, so my preference when I'm teaching this is for you guys to put the 0 in. I do this method quite a lot with some of my, I don't just do QTS tuition, but some of my younger students, they make mistakes with bus stop where if they were always putting a 0 in, they wouldn't make that mistake. So that's going to be my recommendation. Okay. Like I say, we'll come back to that in a minute. Maybe just do a couple more just to kind of clarify. This one isn't really going to be much different. Okay, pretty much the same as the last one. 3's into 2 don't go. 3's into 24 go 8, and 3's into 9 go 3. Okay, so if you know your times tables well, these can be nice, quick questions. Okay. If you compare these last two questions, I think although 249 is a bigger number, I actually think it's easier to divide by 3 in your head. Okay, because you can kind of think of it as, right, 240, oh yeah, that's 80. Okay, and then you do the 9 separately. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and you add them together. I think it's actually 135 is actually the one that most people would find a bit more difficult to divide by 3 in their head. Okay, because they probably wouldn't come up with the 4 at the front straight away. Bus stop method takes care of it. Just do the bus stop method and you'll get these right every time, and you'll just develop your speed with them and you'll be really quick. Okay, so let's do something a little bit harder. Well, I'll tell you what, look, I'm going to do what looks like a silly question, but it's still worth talking about. Now again, I'm sure most of you know how to halve 7 and the answer is 3.5. Let's see what it would look like with the bus stop method. Okay, you do 2's into 7 go 3, remainder 1. So if you've not done this method before, you know, a natural question next is, well, where the bloody hell am I going to put the 1? Well, we've got nowhere to put it. We haven't got any digits. So what you do is you write 7 as 7 point, and you can put as many zeros in as you like. Okay, and what that does, sorry, before I move on, what you do is with that decimal point you just copy it above, it's directly above. Okay, and now we've got a digit to put the remainder of 1 next to, so it creates a 10. So we do 2's into 10 go 5, and we get our 3.5. It turns out that we didn't need these zeros, but with a more difficult question, in fact, let's do it. Let's do 7 divided by 3. I'm going to put a few zeros in. So 3's into 7 go oh, I confused myself then because I thought I was doing the same question as last time. 3's into 7 go twice. Okay, remainder once. Notice I copy that dot. Okay, remainder 1. Okay, 3's into 10 go 3, remainder 1. So what happens here is when you get this 10 again, you're going to do 3's into 10 again. 3, remainder 1. And you can see that this really is never ever going to end. I would need loads and loads of zeros, and I would keep getting the same carryover, and you keep getting these 3's. So really, once you've done it maybe once or twice, you probably don't really need these, and you get an answer of 2.3 recurring. Okay, not really. QTS you won't get you don't need recurring decimals in QTS, but if you're maybe retaking your GCSE or something, this is quite useful. Okay, let's go to the next page. Right, let's do a more typical QTS question. Okay, let's create a money question. Okay, and I think I saw this exact question the other day. Can't remember where. I think it was on the Facebook page. Okay, £106.20. Let's put it in QTS context. So a school raises £106.20 and they're going to divide it between 3 charities. Okay, definitely a bus stop question. Okay, doesn't matter what anybody else tells you, bus stop is the best way to do this. It's the quickest way. There's no point even thinking about other ways of doing it. Not this particular question anyway. Okay, so let's do our method. 3's into 1. I'm going to put 0 at the top. It doesn't go. Okay, so then we do 3's into 10. Okay, go 3. Remainder 1. Okay, 3's into 16, go 5. just copy that dot, nice and easy, just copy this dot up here. So we've got a remainder of 1 again. Yeah, 3's into 16 go 5, remainder 1, we put it here, and we just carry on. 3's into 12 go 4. Okay, now on the Facebook page, the person who posted this, they weren't really too sure what to do with this 0. If you've got no carryover, really you can just copy this 0 up here. Okay, as a money question, you need that 0 on the end because we need to write 35.4. Whereas if it was just you were just doing 106.2 divided by 3, the answer would just be 35.4. But with money, we need that extra 0 on the end. Okay, so that's a pretty useful technique. Okay, so what you've kind of seen there with a couple of questions is if you've got either a decimal place in the original number, or if you need to put a decimal point in so that you get a decimal answer, you can see how to do it. Okay, now there's one last thing that I want to do, and this should make it clear why I think it's a really good idea for you to be getting in the habit of putting the zeros in. Okay, so we're going to do 7,042 divided by 7. Now again, it's not that difficult to do this question in your head, because if think of it as a money question. £7,042. Let's do the same context as the last one. Let's say you've got £7,042 raised for charity, and you're going to spread it between 7 charities. Well, if it was just a plain old 7,000, that would be £1,000 each. Okay, and then you've got £42 left over, and that's in your 7 times tables. That would be another £6. So the answer is 1,006. Okay, but for people that struggle with numeracy a little bit, you know, it's not easy to spot that. The best thing to do is don't worry about trying to spot it. Is just launch straight into your bus stop and just get on with the method, and it will, as long as you've got the method down, the correct answer will come out in the wash. Okay, so we do 7's into 7 go 1. Okay, and one of the reasons that I've done this particular question is I want you to see that when you've got a 0 in the middle of a number, it's absolutely vital that you do put a 0 at the top. So my next step, okay, I've done 7's into 7 go 1. Next step is 7's into 0, and it doesn't go, and you have to put that 0 in. If you don't put that 0 in, you are not going to get the right answer in this question. Okay, so now another common mistake. The next bit is people kind of rush ahead and think, oh yeah, and then 7's into 42 goes 6. And you can see, because we've already written the correct answer over here, you can see that this is wrong. Okay, so you have to train yourself when you're doing this. You have to train yourself to always look at one digit at a time. So we did 7's into 7 go 1, then we did 7's into 0 go 0, then we do 7's into 4 go 0, okay, and then we do 7's into 42. So we get these extra 2 zeros kind of in the number. We did 7's into 7 is 1, and 7's into 42 goes 6, but it's imperative that we get these 2 zeros in between. Okay, so I think I've covered, you know, the most likely kind of questions that you would get in QTS. This video would be reasonably useful for anybody else wanting to learn the bus stop method as well. Okay, and definitely practice it. It's not particularly difficult to make up some questions for this. But if you're stuck, you know, by all means message me and I'll sort something out for you and send you some stuff. Okay, best of luck. Thanks.